Episode 57 on Glenn.
I'm Ben.
And before we start off this week's episode, I'd like to say huge thank you to our sponsors, the Bar Griffin Inn, the Pitside Pizza and Grill, VAR Electrical, Coco's Cakes, Members First Credit Union and Orem. And this week we're joined by
Calvin O'Brien.
Thanks a lot for coming in.
Thanks for having me, lads.
How are you?
I'm all good, yeah, I'm all good. Busy, but alive and kicking, and yeah, I'm happy to be here.
How do you find the balancing out the job and the podcast?
I love it. A lot of people do say to me, like, you're doing too much, and how do you find the time and all? But I do worry if I get too much free time. Like, if I have enough time off work and I'm concentrating on the podcast, or vice versa, if I have time off the podcast and I'm concentrating on work, I like to balance them out. So like if the podcast gets too stressful, I throw myself into work, and then vice versa. Yeah, I love it, but I'm constantly have something to do. I'm constantly busy, and I think it's good to stay busy.
Phil Knight actually has a quote. I only finished reading his book. He's owner and like.
I know who he is. I've read the book.
Digital Shoe Dog. It's daily, and he said.
Very sad ending.
It is.
Yeah.
He said in the only cure for burnout is to stay busier. It's to get busier. Or something.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's true. Sometimes it's when you're in your own head too much. That's when you start to think of all these different. Procrastination is like spending too long between saying you're going to do something, doing something is when you'll start picking out reasons not to do it.
Yeah, there's a theory out there that when it comes to procrastinating, you will always leave a task. You'll always leave yourself enough time to do a task that's going to take you to do it, if that makes sense. So if I said to you, I need this thing done in 3 weeks' time, but it's going to take you a day to do it, you'll leave it to the day before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it's going to take you a week to do it, you leave it to the week before. And I was the same in college. I was forever procrastinating.
Yeah.
When it came to exams, even in school, I was a crammer. Like I didn't study. I studied the night before or a couple of days before, and I'd be like, why did I leave it this long?
Yeah.
But I don't know, conditioned myself into that then.
Yeah, we used to be one for the deadline, so I used to always set myself, even when we started this, I used to be like, well, I'll text this person before this date rather than just doing it. I'm like, why are you doing that? Like,
yeah.
Now I just do it.
Yeah, like it makes no sense. Like, why you leave? Especially texting someone, like, I'm coming for it. Always are lads.
Yeah.
Why you wait until tomorrow when it's only a message? You send it, they see it, wherever. It's sorted out. And then you leave it to tomorrow, and then you text them, and it's like, oh, they can't do it now. And you're like, why did I not do this yesterday? Now I have a day less to try and sort this out.
Yeah, do it when it's in your head. I think when you do it when it's in your head, it actually works out the way you wanted it to work out.
Yeah.
In a strange way.
You're invested in it, then you're ready to get it done.
Yeah. One thing I was going to ask you is, what's one thing you've learned about momentum through the podcast?
I think the momentum is... it's a big, for us I felt it was like the big driver in the success that we didn't get hung up. So like one thing, it's kind of a blessing and a curse, and it's I always say to people when they ask about what's one piece of advice you have for the starting a podcast, you need to decide, are you going to do a weekly or are you going to do a series? We decided that we were going to do a weekly. I don't know why, we just did. So we have to roll with it. So we will record on a Monday or a Tuesday and I'll go out on a Thursday, and then over the weekend you get the feedback. And I was like, oh, that was good, or that could have been better. And then it's like, right, well, it's Monday again. Who have we got this week? And that's where the momentum came from. But I felt like because we were putting them out so quick, we didn't get time to dwell on it. Wherever you felt like you could have done better, you had a couple of days to say, right, I know what I'm going to do this week, and then you get to correct it. And I felt that because we were coming out so quick, we were so relevant, and we were so in the public eye, and we were blowing up over social media, and I think that's down to COVID as well. That really helped us. So just... keeping it going, so like we kept on keeping on. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Tell us a bit about your childhood. Do you think anything in your childhood helped you with certain traits or characteristics to help you in the podcast now that you're older, or do you think anything lined up for you, or certain things didn't help you?
Childhood, yeah, I had a great childhood. I had a great family. I still have got a great family, great circle of friends. One thing I found growing up was, like, I never really knew what I wanted to do. I got into college by the skin of my teeth. I was always told in school I was smart and clever or whatever, intelligent, but I couldn't apply myself, and I always felt like that the teachers were over exaggerating. So like I'd always getting messages home, phone calls home from the school, and they'd be like, oh, he was very disruptive and all, and I'd be like, disruptive is the wrong word to use, like having a bit of laugh at the lads in the class, and they'd be like, oh, you this, that, that can't continue and all, and I'm like, alright. And I remember even like looking back on the report cards, because I have younger brothers now, so they're getting report cards, my man and I getting mine ones out and they're comparing them, they're having a laugh and a joke about them. And on mine ones it's like, oh, so much potential but doesn't apply himself, and I was like, I felt like that was a bit, you know what I mean? I thought that was a bit over the top.
Yeah.
So when I got into college then, college is completely different to school. It's just like, if you don't want to be here, you don't have to be here, we'll move on without you. You know, and I felt like I excelled there because the responsibility was on me. But one thing I started to notice then when I was in college is people started to, because maybe it was you had people from different areas and different backgrounds, and you're dealing with companies as well because you're trying to get internships and you're trying to apply for jobs. One thing I felt then was that people started to judge me more because of where I was from, and I was like, what's that all about? And then I always felt that we were trying to, we were trying to fight against these people because to show that like our area is actually not that bad, you know, stuff like this. And I always felt, someone said it to me not too long ago, like you have a chip on your shoulder about it, and I did when we started the podcast. That's why I started the podcast, because I felt like no matter what I done in my life, I felt like I was making the right decisions. Like I wasn't getting involved in crime, I didn't drink, I was going to college, and no matter what, people were always labelling me a scumbag, and I was like, that doesn't seem very fair. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm making these right decisions. What more can I do? I can't change where I'm from, and I am the proudest person to be from Dublin 1. I used to always say to people, like, I'm from D1 straight off the bat, like. So that's one thing I found, that because I was meeting all these people, I had different points of view, and I felt I really benefit from college was that people think that college, oh, you're educated because you have this piece of paper. I think what college gives you is exposure to critical thinking and thinking different and having different viewpoints and having conversations and discussions with people, and I felt I benefit from that in college. And then I used to always go around then debating people and being like, for example, I worked in a company before and people would make smart comments about where I was from, or something would be in the headlines about something that happened in our area, and I'd be like, yeah, but we're still sitting in the same meeting room. So why am I sitting here with you then? Do you know what I mean? If it's full of scumbags and full of crime, we're still in the same circles.
Yeah, so even I find that not because I'm from town, but because me and Glenn are trying to do something good now. We're out there every weekend, we're chasing people down, doing whatever, meeting up with these mad people. The fact that we just wear tracksuits, people turn a blind eye to it. People they be throwing stuff. He looks at these, like say these nice hotels or nice restaurants or whatever, or if we're with certain people, like people to be like sort of shocked that we're with them, or side eyeing us because we're just in a tracksuit. Like
it turns that very easy though, from the tracksuit thing, just down wear tracksuits, I just don't.
Yeah, but I was thinking that like, I was thinking that because like we're doing it nearly every weekend now, so I was like, right, we have to like stop wearing tracksuits if we're gonna be at these things and blah blah blah.
Then you're not yourself.
Yeah, that's us. Like, why would we change to their views?
Yeah, like I think it depends on the occasion.
Yeah.
So if you are going to a nightclub, obviously you don't wear a tracksuit. If you're going to a wedding, you don't wear a tracksuit.
Yeah.
If you're just knocking around, you're not doing anything, you're going to a casual restaurant, I don't see the need that you need to dress up.
Yeah.
You know, I know some places have dress codes, but I remember in a job I had, we had a thing called Casual Fridays. So you were allowed to wear whatever you wanted. And I remember someone says, oh, can you wear a tracksuit? And one of the management laughed and he's like, Nora, I hope, are you mad? And I was thinking to myself, fuck me, like he was quick in with that one, wasn't he? Like, Jesus, like, yeah. So basically they wanted you to, Monday to Thursday, short and slacks. Friday you could wear jeans and a t-shirt. And I was like, he was quick to let you know, like, not a chance of you wearing a tracksuit in hell. And I thought that was mad, because the company I'm working for now, when I applied for the job and I got the interview, they send you over the details. So this is where it is, this is who you asked for, this is what time to show up at. And at the end it says, don't wear a suit because you'll be the only person in the building wearing a suit. And I thought, that's mad. And now what you see me wearing in the podcast is what I wear to the office, because no one gives a bollocks what I wear. Because like it's like, I don't care what you're wearing, I need you for something else.
Yeah.
Have you got that for me? And is you wearing a short and slacks, is you wearing jeans, is you wearing shorts and a t-shirt going to change that?
Yeah.
Probably not. So is you being comfortable going to change it? More than likely. So just be comfortable. Then they look at that and they probably say, right, you're more productive in what you're wearing if you're comfortable in what you're wearing. So yeah, I think it's mad when people like label tracksuits as bad, because I'm like, why? Like,
it's
what?
unique to you, I think.
Yeah, but it's just your fashion sense is unique to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're trying to say that like bad things have never been committed by people who dress fashionably, like, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So I don't get it. I love what you said. It's you. That's who you are. You know what I mean? So people can take it or leave it. And that's, I think a lot of people respect authenticity more.
Yeah.
So like if you was, for example, sat doing this podcast now and you're coming in, you're wearing polos and slacks, people are like, what happened there?
yeah. Tell us where you got your confidence from when you first started. How did you build the courage up to just do it? Because it is hard taking that first step.
Yeah, no, it is. And I just, as I was saying, I felt like I had a chip on my shoulder, so I had a lot to say. And a lot of stuff that I've said in the podcast, I was saying it to people on an everyday basis. The whole, like, what are we doing wrong? Why are you judging us? That whole thing. And I think it's just, I'm so comfortable in saying this to people and getting these points across that I was like, what difference is it me saying it to you now if there was no microphones in the room, you know?
Do you think that was your, like, sorry for cutting across you, do you think that was your get up and go, like your driving force behind everything you've done?
Yeah, well, my initial driving force was I became a dad very young. I found out when I was 20 that I was going to be a dad, so I was like, right, I have to get my shit together. So threw myself into the last year of college. I was like, I'm coming out of college with a job, and now I know that for certain. That's a non-negotiable, and I did. And it's when I started working then I was exposed to all this criticisms and stereotyping and smart remarks, and I was like, right, well, I'm here, I'm a hard worker, I've just as much right to be here as anyone else. That's, I had this kind of, I would say I was a chip on the shoulder, yeah. So that's why I was like, right, when Terence asked me, do you want to do a podcast? I was like, yeah, I've actually got a lot to say.
Yeah.
What was the vision with the podcast when you first started? Where did you want it to go? Where did you see it going?
I didn't see it going far. To be honest, I just thought it'd be something that we do for a little while during COVID because there was nothing else to do, and hopefully people will have a laugh out of it. Hopefully some people might pick up on it and be like, yeah, they're right in what they're trying to do, as in change the perception of working class people in the inner city. And from there I thought, yeah, like if that's the idea of talking bollocks, then great, we can have a bit of laugh and a bit of a serious conversation, and maybe it will stay in our community, and maybe someone from a different area who knows our community, like someone in our community, as you were saying, these all have relatives in town, or you know people in town, maybe it'll spread to Coolock, or it'll spread to Donecarney, or it'll spread to Cabra, or it'll spread to Ballyferma, or wherever, and it might be like, oh, that's my cousin's mate, or this is me uncle, here's his podcast, or whatever it may be, and I'll go there, and I'm like, and if it does, so be it. Do you know what I mean? We don't owe anyone anything, we're not in it for money, we like, it's not going to cost us to do it. Yeah. So why not give it a bash? What else are we going to do? And at the end of the day, if we came back and like, oh, remember that time you done a podcast? We're like, yeah, it's like, it's not something that's going to hang over you. And that was it.
Was that ever the time that you were thinking, oh, this isn't working, I'm going to have to pack this in, or this is getting a bit too tough? And if there was, how'd you get over it?
I don't think I've ever thought about packing her in. There has been tough times, and obviously, but again, as I said, this is where the balance of me having to concentrate on something else comes in. Yeah. So like if I sit there and like you see a lot of people get burnt out from work, like work's got them down, what do you do then? You take some time off, but then in your time off you're just constantly thinking about work, and then by the time you get over it you're like, right, that's over and done with, it's time to come back to work, and then you're dreading that again. I didn't get a chance to do that because I'm like, right, well, I haven't got a chance to dwell on that podcast, I have to go to work. And then, as I said at the start, I haven't got a chance to dwell on work, I have to go and do a podcast now. Yeah. And that's the way we record, is we record in the evening. So I finish and work and I go into the studio then. So like, if something bad has happened or someone has annoyed me in work that day, I get 90 minutes to 2 hours now to talk to somebody else about something completely different. Yeah. It's great. Like I know somebody who used to work in a chocolate factory, hates chocolate. You know what I mean? So it's like, imagine being that turned off something because you worked with it. Yeah. So that's where... Do
you keep like work and the podcast separate in the sense that like you won't talk about the podcast and work, or do you?
Yeah, there's a lot of people who I work with haven't a clue. Well, they're kind of aware, but like one fella who I work with, I'm in that job 7 years this year. He only found out about the podcast because we were on the Late Late Show and someone posted about it on LinkedIn, and then I reshared it, and he was like, I heard you had a podcast, but I didn't know it was this big. You know, so like I'd imagine a couple of people had mentioned it to him. But just that, and then other people in the building may know about it, but I don't talk. Like in work, it's just my team I communicate with. And I know other people in the building are aware of who I am and the podcast, and they listen to it because I've got the odd message off them.
Yeah.
But I don't go around being like, oh yeah, I have a podcast. I just get on with me work.
Yeah, we're the same when we were in school. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm obviously still in school. We keep it totally separate.
Yeah, like you don't want to be that person. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Like, you know, when you hear people constantly going on about something, you're like, fucking hell, change the record there. But then on the flip side, when I'm in the podcast, why do I need to talk about work? I don't need to tell you what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. Do you know what I mean? I'm here to talk to whoever the guest is about why they're here, or to answer a listener question, or to whatever. Like, I address the fact I have a job. Don't really need to go into the nitty gritty of it, do I?
Yeah, no, exactly.
What's the best lesson you think the podcast has teaching you over the years?
To be open-minded about everything. You're not 100% right on everything. One example I always give is, if you go back to one of our earliest episodes, is with Nicola Talent. Like, she absolutely ran rings around us because I was so adamant I was right on the stuff that I had to say to her. And if you go back and listen to that, it's embarrassing. She schooled us. You could tell who the professional was in the room. And I thought, Jesus, I didn't think it was going to go that bad. And I went into that podcast so confident. I'm like, no, she's not going to be right here because I know this, and this, and this. And she was like, yeah, well, what about X, Y, and Z? I was like, fuck yeah, she has me here. And then a podcast we do get criticised over is the Micheál Martin episode, is because we didn't grill him, just get him into the seat and be like, you're this and you're that and you didn't do this. That never work. You have to, there's ways of approaching conversations. And one thing I'm proud of in that is I felt we approached his episode completely different to Nicola's because we learned from it. And you can hear we catch him out a few times. So like, we're just two fellas in tracksuits with no media training, no background in journalism. We're catching out the Taoiseach on stuff here. You know what I mean? And these are politicians. These are the best at getting out questions. They're brilliant at it. If you ever listen to an interview with a politician and they get asked a question, they'll never answer it. They dance around it, and enough time goes past that they have to move on. Whereas we caught him, like, I remember one of them was talking about homeless figures, and he's like, oh, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and we're going to do this, and everything's going to be better. And I was like, well, then why is it getting worse? And he stutters then in his answer, and I was like, right, we have him here. You know what I mean? So I'm like, you have to be open-minded, you have to be ready to do your homework and know that your opinion isn't 100% right. You have to be open to getting your mind changed on a lot of stuff. Yeah,
we do that as well. We try to learn off every episode. So like, we take 3 bits from each episode and we'll put it into a next episode, something that we've learned. Like,
yeah. If you had to give us 3 tips on how to actually like crack into somebody's mind and how to actually open them up, what would you say to us?
So know why you're getting a person in.
Yeah.
So what's their bread and butter? What do they do? Now, they might be a DJ, they might be a sports star, they might be an actor or whatever. So why are you getting that person in? Find out what motivates them. So why did they get into that then? And then I would say find out what they want to do in future with what they're doing. So like, if you're an actor, what do you aspire to be? Do you aspire to change your career? Do you want to go into writing? Do you want a certain role or whatever? What got you into acting? You know, stuff like that. And have some sort of connection with them, like, oh, we got you in because I'm a big fan of your films, or you're from my area, or whatever. Stuff like that.
So you think you have to be genuinely interested in the person you have in?
Yeah,
100%. We find that as well. Like, anyone we get in, we always kind of wanted them in, so we know what to ask them off the top of the head in a sense.
And I don't think there's anyone that we never found interesting, or that you just have on for the sake of it.
Yeah,
you have to have some sort of connection with them, or you have to know something about them. You don't want to be like, here's a page, here's Glenn, he's in with you on Monday, and be like, I don't actually know anything about this fella. So what I know about this fella, I've just learned on this sheet, I have to remember that now.
Yeah.
You're like, fuck. You know what I mean? There's often times that you'd have someone in and you might know them and you might be interested and you forget.
Yeah.
Like, I should ask me about that. And like,
that's not
a bad thing. Yeah, like, that's not a bad thing.
We had Jim Sheridan in. And we didn't even have a studio at that time.
This is our second episode or something, and we got James Sheridan in, like, director of Get Rich or Die Trying. Our minds were blown, and we came in, and like, you probably got this yourself at the start. Like, I was asking him questions, just asking questions, not actually listening to what you were saying. So I was like, did you like school? How did you find school? He said to me, a priest hung me out the window by my ankles one time. And I said, right, and did you like it though? And I just wasn't thinking, like, he was like, yeah, it was alright, like, just messing, like, and our heads were gone.
But 30 minutes before the episode, he hadn't a clue who Jim Sheridan was.
Yeah.
I was like, talking bollocks at him on listen to the episode.
I only
real quick,
realised
get
that
20
you had
minutes.
like my research used to be listening to if you had them on for an episode, and I only realised like 20 minutes before this fellow was coming that you was having an
Yeah, you
episode.
were skipping through
So I was
the
skipping
episode.
through them. I was like, right, what's he doing? What can I ask him? Blah 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 and all. But he's somebody that I'd really like to get back in, because I feel like we know. We wouldn't be more laughs and jokes on this podcast. We'd try and learn something, or
Yeah.
we'd try and get motivated, or we'd learn how they got through hard times, or if they had any advice for somebody else who's trying to pursue what they're pursuing. And when we got him on, we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know heads or tails of a question. Like, so he's somebody I'd like to get back in, because I feel like I could really learn a lot off him now.
And you
know
do a
what I mean?
better episode
I
now.
would do
Yeah.
it. Do you have somebody like that who you wish you could get back in?
Jesus. Yeah, well, in a way, you'd say me, Hall Martin again, but like, there's been a good few of them where we felt like we missed the boat on a couple of questions, but again, it's hard because sometimes your mind does go wandering. I try not to be so structured with it. Be like, right, ask about growing up, ask about this, ask about that, ask about this. Don't be afraid if they said, like, for example, when Jim said a priest hung you out the window, that you have to move on to the next question. You can address that. Like, how did he get away with that? Was that common? Don't be afraid to get hung up in that. You know what I mean? Unless you're under a strict time. If they say, look, you've 60 minutes with me, go. If it's a free flowing conversation, don't be afraid to just go off on tangents, because we've got like little nuggets and great little pieces of bleeding gold off people being like, tell us a bit more about that. And you'll be like, oh, I'll tell you a good one, and they get a great story out, and you're like, this is bleeding deadly. Like, Jim Sheridan come in with us, and he rapped more that was the case by Snoop Dogg out of nowhere.
Oh no, I couldn't believe that.
And I was like, I don't even know how this happened. But like, this is unbelievable. You know what I mean? And I don't think we would have got that out of him if it was like, alright, so Jim, what was this film like when you directed it, and how did you cast? You know what I mean? Like, you have to just flow with the conversation.
We definitely did make improvement from that though, because we got Roddy Doyle on then a couple of, 2 months later.
About
That
7
was
episodes
straight
later
off
or
the back of
something,
school. Like, we were in school.
It was actually
We got
during
the-
school
was
that
it the day of-
SNA took us out of school during school. We were shooting an episode with Roddy Doyle up in the fire station in the North Trant there, and we were mind blowing in the fire trucks and all we were. And we had sort of had a little producer and all down the fire station. He was going to edit it for us and post it and say on behalf of Dublin Fire Brigade, blah blah. And we came in prepared for that one, and that one was a nice one for us as well, because actually I'll call it out here. The English teacher said to us, just you have a lot of doubters, and I was reading a Roddy Doyle book or whatever. I was like, I'll get him on the podcast. Like, saying to one of the lads, and she overheard me. She's like, best to look down that, he's a hard man to get. I was like, I'm sure I can get to him somehow. No, I don't think so. And we ended up getting him then literally a month later or something, and don't know how it even happened. We just got him, and straight away she's like, do you know what, fair play to you, she handed us a tenner and all. It's like, happy days, you know what I mean? Sometimes that drives me more when people tell you can't do something, and
Who was that?
I don't strong.
Calling them out and all, believe that.
Yeah. But if somebody tells you can't do something, I always say, I seen it on Instagram, say do it twice and take pictures.
Yeah.
And it's a nice thing to do.
You learn by doing, I think, as well. Like, the more we do, like as you were saying, like letting the conversation flow, we do that now and here. But when we had Roddy Doyle on, we still didn't really let it flow. Like, we got one question and onto the next.
But I always say to Glenn, life's a numbers game, isn't it? The more things you do, the more you pick up, the more luckier you get. The whole lot, the more you put in.
You will. You become more comfortable with it. It's experience. But when it comes to the likes of Roddy Doyle, that fella, as you said, he's hard to get. He's well established. So do your homework on him. But you don't have to go structured with it. Just be aware who he is, where he's from, who he's involved with, what he's done, what he's achieved, what he's planning on doing. So like, imagine you said to him like, oh, I heard you're writing a play now, and him being like, geez, that's not really broadcast that much, I'm not here to promote that play. Imagine how much respect he sees there, and you'd get a genuine reaction from him. But it's not just that. When you reach out to someone else then to come onto your podcast and be like, geez, had Roddy Doyle on, I'll tell you what that was like, and they hear that in his voice and his reaction, and you're like, yeah, I will go on to that. Whereas if you went on there and you just blew through X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, you done the snapper, what was that like, blah 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 blah, and people are like, geez, I've heard this 1,000 times. You want to give something different, you want to bring something different to the table, that you don't want to copy and paste interview. You want to be like, this is what we bring different to what they brought.
Being authentic, like
but like when he was on the Late Late Show, they asked him this and this is the answer he gave. Now don't get me wrong, there will be some off the shelf answers on questions that you have to ask people, you know what I mean, like it is what it is, but don't be afraid to change it up a bit. But also have your homework done on him, that you know, I wrote this book, and I'm like, yeah, you wrote that in 1992. And he'd be like, shit, you've done your homework. So he looks he looks and has more respect for you then.
Yeah.
Because you've went off and you've done your homework,
Like
because you appreciate the fact he's coming in to give you his time. You've already gave him your time by doing the homework on it.
Yeah.
You know? And
So
as you
it creates
said,
a genuine connection there, sort of.
yeah, and as you said, like, people are coming in here for free.
Yeah.
So it's like, you owe them that, you know,
Yeah,
to be authentic to them. I had one of those examples. So I was at a wedding 2 years ago, and it's a lot of lads that obviously I know the bride and groom very well, and I would have met a couple of the lads through them, but I don't know them that well. And a few of them have listened to the podcast, but one of them pulled me and he was chatting to me, and I was sitting down like this chatting, and then another fella come over, and the man says to me, who have you got, like, who do you want to get? Who's your dream guest? And I was like, it was at the start of 2023, and I was like, do you know what, I'd love to get Eddie Hearn, and I think we will. And the fella who just come up to join in on the conversation goes, there's not a chance you're going to get him. Are you mad? Eddie Hearn won't go on your podcast. I goes, you'll see. And then I had Eddie Hearn on, and I said it to the ground then. I goes, make sure you send this fella a message for me. And he goes, don't worry, we're all giving them stick, because a lot of the lads heard him down us that day, you know what I mean? But again, like, it's, do you want to have someone on because somebody said that you couldn't get them? Or do you want to have someone on because you think you'll be a good episode?
Yeah.
I put things out there on purpose now. Like, I tell people that I'm going to get somebody way before they even have them at my fingertips, just so that gives me that extra push to actually go and get them. Because if you're going around talking about something, it gives you that incline then to actually, right, I'm actually telling this person I'm going to do it, so I have to actually follow through now, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, be careful with that though, because that you're nearly doing it out of spite.
No, I know that. Yeah.
Instead of being motivated by just the fact that you want to grow your podcast. You know, like, some people would say to us, would you ever get this person on? And I just tell them no. And if they say why, we're like, well, this, or I don't think we'd have a good conversation. But like, what are you going to get out of this person? Because that's, at the end of the day, people have to listen to it. If no one listens to your podcast, it's not going to go anywhere. Yeah. You have to give the listener something to tune in for. So if I look at a guest, it gets suggested to me and I'm like, oh, I've nothing to go off there. There's nothing, I'd say. And we often have, like, we'd have planning meetings and I'd say, I actually don't have anything there. You know, and Terry be the same, like, there's nothing to go off there, and that's it. Don't be afraid to say that.
How do you always, like, keep yourselves in alignment with, like, is our listeners? Like, how do you always kind of, like, judge what they want and who they want to listen to?
We like to change her up. I'm not a big fan of repeat guests, but like, sometimes enough time has passed, it might be a year between, or they might have had something big that's gone on that you can talk about. I like to change up. I like to think of people that are a bit different, like topics that are different. Don't be afraid to throw them out there, because we had Dr. Sharon Lambert on, and she'd done a study before, and she was talking about podcast listenerships in economic classes, so working class, middle class, etc. And it was that middle class people tune into podcasts for the entertainment factor, and working class people tune into podcasts for the educational factor. So some people are tuning in for a laugh, other people are tuning in to learn stuff. So you need to realise that. So if it's a topic that you think people need more education on, have them on to talk about it. If it's someone who you think could be interesting and people can take something away, have them on to talk about it.
What would you say the 3 key traits to use as success with the podcast would be?
Consistency, authenticity, and adaptability. So, adaptability is the wrong word. Not being afraid to change it up. Yeah. So consistency, pump one out every week. That's it. No matter what, pump one. Authenticity, just being ourselves, not changing anything. If we don't know something, we're not afraid to ask the question. I'm not familiar with what this thing that you're talking about. Tell us more about that. I'm not comfortable having that person on. I really want this person on. Whatever. Yeah. I feel like, obviously we've grown as fellas since the start, nearly 5 years ago, but I still feel like we're the same. Not much has changed. And yeah, as I said, we're open-minded enough that we're willing to learn and change our views on something. That if I'm adamant the sky is black, and someone comes in and presents you why it's blue, be like, do you know what, I actually think it is blue now. Don't just leave there and be like, he's full of shit, it's definitely still black. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What would your definition of success be?
In terms of what? Life in general?
Yeah. Life and then the podcast.
In terms of the podcast, we have a podcast with listenership that is we've a lot of return listeners and we've a growing listenership. We've people who recognise the podcast. We've people who reach out to us and say the podcast has changed their life, or what I love most is I've never heard of this person, tuned in, love their stuff now, or bought their book, or listened to their podcast now. We've had some hard conversations on the podcast, and I've had people reach out and be like, look, I had a family member who was in addiction who we disconnected and now we've reconnected because I now understand what they've gone through. That to me is success. Like you can put a monetary value on it. You can say, yeah, you've done this amount of live shows, you've had this big name, but stuff like that where the ordinary person on the street who
It's real and raw.
just decided to press play on your podcast has changed their fucking view on something now. Like, what's that? That is success to me. In terms of life, I have a young daughter who is perfectly healthy. I'm in a long-term relationship with my partner that's perfectly healthy. We bought a house last year. I have a job that I never thought again I love doing. I'm fit and I'm healthy. To me, that's successful. Like, I'm happy with that. When I come out of college to a job. To me, I was like, right, that's it. I'm happy with this now. But obviously, life throws its curveballs at you and things change. I bought a house last year and I couldn't be prouder of the fact that me and my missus were able to do that, because how hard things are now and getting harder. So yeah, to me, that's enough success for me. I'm happy with that. I'm happy to keep going with that.
It's amazing. What would you say to, I'm sure you know how to talk now and you know little sort of key tips to sort of break the ice with people. What would you say to an introvert or a socially anxious person who is terrified of meeting new people and talking to new people, but maybe they have to go and do it? What little tips would you give them?
See, it's hard because I've never seen myself as introverted, so I can't relate to that. To me, it's just like a closed mouth never gets fed. So if you're telling somebody that you're too hot, like, you're just going to sit there sweating all night.
Yeah.
Ask them to open the window, turn the heating off. It's going to benefit you. Do you know what I mean? To me, people will pull you and be like, oh, I can't believe you're so good at this. Where did you learn this? And I'm doing what? Like, talking. I'm literally just talking. The one thing that, like, we're taught to do from the second we're fucking that height to now, something that you're going to be doing for the rest of your life, you're going to be doing for over 80 years. And people do it differently, but I'm just doing what anyone else can do. I just talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How is that a skill? It's not. It's how we communicate. It's like the basic form of communication that humans have been doing for thousands of years. Even when I'm going back to when people used to grunt at each other. Do you know what I mean? I think it's mad that people communicate so much. Like, I love sending a voice message. People communicate so much through text, and I work in tech, and like, I wouldn't be the most technical, wouldn't be the most gifted when it comes to stuff like coding. But one thing I do excel at is I'm good at dealing with people, and I think there'll always be roles for people, like a people person in an organisation, people who can communicate well. We done an episode, it was last year, and I had someone from an organisation there, I won't name the organisation, but they were like, how many podcast courses did you do? I remember being I was dying to call him a fucking idiot. I was like, none. Like, you can't do a course on, you can't, no matter what, you can't sugarcoat this. The only course you need, if you really want to get into it, is to make sure your podcast sounds okay. And if you're doing video, make sure the cameras are set up okay. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Podcasting at the end of the day comes down to the individual behind the mic. So if you're not comfortable at it, it's not. If you're not comfortable with speaking with people, don't do a podcast. Don't do it.
So something my driving instructor said to me, actually, it always pops up in my mind. It's like something you can't teach is experience. Just go out and do it.
Yeah, exactly. And how do you get experience? By doing something.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, we've all been beginners at something.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, technically we've all been beginners at everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I'm an expert in anything, and I hate when in our job, if you meet someone new or someone who joins the team and you have to introduce yourself and like give facts about yourself. I'm the most boring person out there. I'm the most ordinary fella you'll ever meet. Like, if I didn't have that podcast, I wouldn't know what I'd say to somebody. And I don't even say that to people, like, oh yeah, I do a podcast. I don't even say that, because to me it's a bit of a cliche, it's a bit cringy, do you know what I mean? Because as you know, everyone has a fucking podcast these days. So like, in terms of scale, like, oh, I have a podcast, oh yeah, so do I, like, oh yeah, grand. Like, but how much experience can you get talking to someone? Like, you do it every day.
Yeah.
You do it every day. Just because there's a mic in front of you now, what's changed?
And just bringing certain people in who are experts in certain area or have a lot of experience in certain areas. I feel like the last year I've learned more off this podcast than I probably have in school.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm much more mature now. I know a small bit about a lot of things now as well, and I'm a lot more open-minded, and I actually feel like I've learned skills off this podcast that I bring to everyday life as well.
Yeah, and to me that's a bit like what I learned in college. You know, it's you have that critical thinking now. You can teach more or think more logically. You're more liberal in terms of how you look at things. You don't just dive in and be like, that's my opinion on that. That's it. Simple as that. You be like, now you've heard firsthand from people, oh, this is why certain people do that, or this is why that law was put in place, or this is why that company was going that way. I get that now. But it's great for us to say that because we've the experience of sitting and talking to people about these things for hours. It'd be great if everyone else thought that way, wouldn't it? And be more. No, I don't mean like, oh, everyone has to be on the same page. I just mean be open to discussion. Yeah. Be open to have your mind changed. Because that's what I think the problem is, especially in Ireland in the last few years, is people are not open to having their mind change. And it's just like, I want to talk to you about politics, and be like, okay, let's talk about politics. And be like, oh, you're wrong. You're like, alright, I've said one sentence and you said I'm wrong, so let's not talk about it.
You can agree to disagree.
So let's have, like if I said to you something mad, Mohamed Salah is overrated, and you said, well, no, and you start breaking it down, like, no, you're wrong. What's the point in having the conversation then? Let's just stop. We should go back and forth. Like, oh, well, his age. Oh, well, look what he done at other clubs. Oh, well, what about the golden boots that he's won? And all right, now we're hitting each other with facts and having a bit of a conversation. Now we're going back and forth, and it's healthy. Whereas if you just go, I disagree with you, and be like, you're wrong, then just stop there. No problem, pal. Just, and be comfortable doing that with people. Like, I do put stuff up on Twitter and people who comment on that, so I just don't reply. What's the point? Like, I'm never going to change that person's opinion on something. No matter what I say to them, just don't reply. There's no point.
What's the best piece of advice you ever received and the worst piece of advice you ever received?
See, I do hear this on podcasts and interviews, and people who have like a little quote ready to go. And I'd be like, no one ever fucking put me and said that shit. You know what I mean? Like, who you was talking to? One, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And that's especially in these circuits that you are starting to mix with now, and what we're mixing with now. Like how we got some of our big guests, it's like we knew someone who knew them. You know what I mean? They didn't look at that and be like, oh, that podcast is great, I want to go on that. No, I'm sure some of them have, but a lot of them are like, this person has asked and they said they would do it. So that has a lot to stand for, especially in Ireland. It's not what you know, it's who you know. The worst piece of advice I ever got, I spoke about this a load of times on the podcast, and I'm sure people would be sick of hearing that story, but I was told to change my accent so I wouldn't get far in life. And it's hilarious because I left that job, and the job I have now is for who I am. They know what I can bring to the table, and I love that. I love it. It's like a fuck you back at them, and I'm sure that person knows who they are because I've told the story so much in so much detail about when they put me and asked me to change the accent that he knows it's him. But and just be yourself. Like, if people don't like you for who you are, that's no problem. Why would you change? Because there is people out there that do like you for who you are, so appeal to them. And I only gave that piece of advice to somebody recently, I'll tell you off here, that you shouldn't be trying to appeal to everybody. Appeal to the people who like it already. Let's say there's 1,000 people who are going to listen to this podcast. 700 of them listen to next week's and 300 don't. Are you going to be like, why are that 300 not fucking listening to us? No, let's get onto that 700. Be like, right, you obviously like what we're doing, so we're going to keep you here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there'll be more people down the line that be like, oh, them two youngsters have to stay consistently themselves. I like that honesty about them, and they'll come on board. Whereas if you, as I said, if we go back to the start, you start wearing polos and chinos and slacks and shoes and what have you, people like, Jesus, them youngsters are bleeding, blowing whichever way the wind blows, you know what I mean? So just be authentic to yourself. Everyone won't like it, and that's something that people have a hard thing to grasp, have a hard time dealing with. You can't be... Is there anyone out there that every single person in the world loves?
No,
no matter how... Like, anyone out there, think of who's the most generous, who's done the most for humanity out there, someone will have something bad to say about them. There's not one person on this planet that nobody has a bad word to say.
That's what we always say between ourselves. I just say to him, like, if someone doesn't like us, like, I don't like everybody.
Yeah.
Same as yourself. You could probably name people off the head.
There's a lot of people. I could name everyone probably on me two hands, and that's it, that I like. Everyone else, I'm like, I actually don't care. I don't like it. I don't care, mate. Like, what do you want me to do about that? Sorry to hear. Like, I can't change that. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing I can do.
Not everybody's gonna click in life. Like,
and
if you don't like everybody, don't expect everybody to like you.
Yeah, and some people have a hard time dealing with that though.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I need that approval from everyone. You're like, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't. Like, look at, especially with a podcast, because it does require listeners. Look at who's listening to your podcast and appeal to them.
Yeah.
Because they're who's coming back every week. You owe them everything. You owe the listener everything.
Yeah. So would you do your improvements like based off the listeners?
It depends. Like, it depends on what the improvements are needed. Like, you obviously don't want to have a string of, like, say, 4 footballers in a row, because you're going to shut off a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
You'll attract a lot of people, but you're going to shut off a lot of people. So you need to change it up.
We noticed that it didn't really like decrease our listeners, but like if you have like say, I think one stage we had like 3 comedians back to back.
Yeah.
But we just noticed it between ourselves. Like we said like we haven't realised like we're actually after having 3 comedians back to back.
Yeah.
So like we were like, yeah, right, let's start to like.
And look, sometimes it
Yeah.
happens. Because sometimes, like, we block book guests, so we try to get like 6 or 7 in a row. And then when you get to about the 5th or 6th, you go again. So
Yeah.
you're never like stuck and scrambling, because we've been in that situation before. But like sometimes you might reach out to the 5, 6, 7 guests, and like 3 of them can only do certain dates, and it is that way. We have like 3 in a row, and you're like, bollocks. But it just happens.
Yeah.
Try not to let it happen again.
How do you deal with that, like booking your guests? Like we found that like we try to think like a few weeks in advance now. Is that what you use it?
Yeah, that's what we do. We block book. At the start, it was literally week by week, but again, I suppose it comes down to COVID. People weren't really doing that. People were happy to do it as well. So like you could text someone with 2 days notice and they jump in.
Yeah.
Like, this is great. But now it's like you could text someone and be like, what date? And you'd be like, oh, Tuesday. And be like, oh, I'm not even in the country. They're like, bollocks. When are you in the country?
Yeah.
Back in 3 weeks' time. Right, that week you're back. You're free on the Monday or the Tuesday. Yeah, booked in. Right, that's one person boxed off, and that's 3 weeks' time. So that's grand. Who have you got for the 2nd and 4th week? And you have to go from there. And it gives you a lot of room to breathe then, you know. You don't have to worry about it. You can concentrate solely on this episode. This week it's this person, Adam, right, grand. Next week it's Becky, right, grand. Give Adam everything, then you can let that one go. Right, Becky, what do we know about her? What do we need to know about her? And go from there.
I actually learned that off you. You sent me a voice note last year, I think it was, about being like having prioritisation, and like I took that on board, and it's been a lot easier for us now.
Yeah.
Than it was at the start. Like
it's so much easier now. You know, like if you block book in advance, you know who you have next week and the week after. You don't need to worry about it. You can concentrate on other things in your life. You can concentrate on making this a better episode.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about it.
Who has been your favourite guest? Or do you have a favourite?
I don't really have a favourite, because I think it'd be too hard to choose from, and then 2, I think it's a bit disrespectful.
Yeah, it is.
Because like imagine we had 2 views on separate.
I was gonna rephrase that to who have you learned the most of?
Yeah. Do you know what? One thing I try and do, as I was kind of saying earlier on, is like try and make sure there's something in every episode that someone can take something from. So you're not just listening to an episode and it's just like, right, that was just 3 people in a room talking for 90 minutes. There's lessons in there from all range of topics. One of my favourite moments in the podcast, and I always say to people, it's a tough one. It's a bittersweet moment, because it was probably the toughest ever episode we've done, but it ended on such a high note, and it's one that we might even revisit again. When we had Andrew McGinley in, and I don't know if you're aware who Andrew is. Yeah. So Andrew's 3 kids were murdered, and he came in to tell us about that. And that was an episode we were trying to get done for nearly 2 years. And the first time it didn't happen, I remember being good, even though the subject matter was going to be hard and it was going to be tough. And I was like, I still feel like we have to do that. Like we owe it to not just him, but the listeners and everyone else out there. They need to listen to it. And I remember getting sent the brief, all the details. I was crying reading that. I remember crying when we sat down before we spoke to Andrew. Then we done the podcast. I was crying during the podcast. But then I don't know how we did it, but I just remember feeling a sense of relief at the end. And when what he spoke about at the end, what he lives for, what keeps him going. And I remember the end of the podcast with like, I'm gonna have a long and happy life. And I remember thinking, fucking hell, that is one of the most powerful things I've ever heard. And then we got a picture together at the end, and he was asking us who do we support, and I was like, I support United. And Terence said he follows Liverpool, Andrew follows Everton. So when he heard Liverpool, he goes, I'm actually an Everton supporter, as if I haven't suffered enough. And I was like, this fella is cracking jokes.
Yeah.
We literally, three of us had been sobbing crying here 10 minutes ago, now you're cracking jokes.
Yeah.
And I just felt so, I was like, this is deadly. This, like, he is one of the biggest inspirations. Like, I'd put him right up there. That's a man who has told us, I'm going to have a long, happy life after what he's been through. Because I said, it was like, if I experienced what he experienced, I wouldn't be here. And I'm sure 99% of people wouldn't be here and they'd understand it. But we got nominated for an award for that episode, and we brought Andrew to the awards with us, and we had the bleeding buzz for him. Like, he's a buzzer. Like, he is hilarious. And it's mad to think what he's been through and now the life he's leading. It's so inspirational. So I was like, do you know what, there might even be a part here where we just go in and have the buzz with him, as if he's bleeding another comedian.
Yeah, daily. Shows that nothing can break you, really, doesn't it?
But that's what I'm saying. So, like, what I always encourage people to listen to it, but be prepared, obviously, because, like, it's one thing recommending a podcast to someone, but it's one thing recommending that podcast to someone. I would love if everyone did go and listen to it, because you get through it, but if you hear what he's come through and how he's living his life, it's like, what have you got going on? You know what I mean? When you hear what he's gone through.
Yeah.
If with all the knowledge you have now, if you could go back to yourself when you just started the podcast, you and Terence, and you got to grab them, what would you say to them? Or what advice would you give them? Or what would you tell them to avoid or not do, or maybe to do?
Just, you don't know it all, so don't pretend that you do. Because as I said at the start, I was adamant. I was like, I know everything about this guest, I know everything about the topics we're going to talk about. You don't. So you avoid yourself looking stupid, because you're going to get caught out, and you're going to get yourself into an argument if you're going to try and double down on stuff. So be prepared to have your mind changed, no matter what the topic is. Like, we've had a wide range of topics discussed on the podcast that even after I'm like, you know, I see where you're coming from. I can see the point they're making there. Now, don't always agree with it, but I get where people are coming from.
So put yourself in their shoes, sort of thing.
Yeah. Just, don't be committed to every single opinion you have. You know what I mean? Have a loose grip on all your opinions. Don't be locked onto them.
Yeah.
Daily, yeah.
Just.
Oh, hang on now.
No, I've time, lads, don't worry.
What are you gonna do going forward now with the podcast? What goals are you aiming for, or what are you shooting for?
We'd love to get out of Dublin for a live show. We've done 11 live shows. They've all been in Dublin. I'd love to branch out of Dublin, maybe even Ireland. TVX is going well. I'd love to put a bit more time and effort into that. There's mad content coming on that soon. I'd love to go back into that. You know, those talks about getting out to play around the golf and punting around that. I'd love to do like random shit like that, and just getting back into where we have like a cycle of guests from. You never know who you're gonna see in that chair. You know what I mean? You never know who you're gonna see pop up on their Instagram page, where people are just like, fuck, how just get back around to that. Yeah.
Someone I was going to ask you is, how do you deal with like the nerves before a live show?
I don't know. I kind of like it now. I don't know what it is. It obviously it takes a while, and I fucking nearly took a bang up a couple of times on the side of the stage, but it's good, just deadly. Like, the whole buzz around it, it's unbelievable, because like you've like, where no matter what the venue, every single person is there have bought a ticket based off this thing that you created in a kitchen during lockdown, and now they're all here. And they're having a night out about it. They've had group chats about it. They've organised babysitters. They got their hair done. They went out. They bought clothes. They booked a day off work. They've arranged to meet for points before it. You're giving these people a night out and a reason to escape from whatever is going on in their life. It's just left at the door, and you're giving these people this 2 hours or whatever it may be of just laughter, and who knows what can happen. Like, we're throwing in mad stuff on live shows these days, and just reaction. Like, I know, like, I have a mic and I'll say something and the crowd is going to react this way, and then you can put as much planning as you want in, but it'll never go as according to plan no matter what happens. And I love it all, the buzz of it, and you see the crew backstage and they're setting up, and there's guests coming in beforehand and they're in the green room, they're all catching up with each other. Like, our last live show in the Ball Gosh, like, Kyle Cobbler and Shane Todd are sitting there and having the crack. Then Willa comes in and they're like, this is bleeding mad. Like, three of the biggest comedians in the country are just chilling here in front of you, waiting to go on stage with you, and you're like, this is mad. But then you have to run off because you have to do a sound check. You need to make sure videos are going to play when they're supposed to play. You need to make sure that this person knows their cue for this thing that's going to happen, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And then plus you're in the board gosh as well, so you're looking around being like, this is deadly. There's posters here from other shows. It's just mad. Like I still remember the first time seeing me face on Ticketmaster. Like you're on the website and there you are and you're like, what is going on here? Like this shouldn't be happening, but I fucking love it. It's class. It's just the buzz, and the only thing is we'll never experience it from the other side. Like your mates are sending you videos, it is that and the other, but we'll never experience that. You know, from that end. But I love it. It's class. Like of course it's nerve wracking, but nerves are good. That shows you're feeling something.
Yeah.
That shows you're up for it. You might be dreading it, but they're good. You know what I mean? And you have to embrace it. You really do. Like, what's the difference between nervous and excitement? Like your heart rate goes up, you're buzzing, you get goosebumps. You know what I mean? So what determines nerves and what determines excitement? Probably just a matter of opinion, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is there anything you wish we had asked you, or anything you think we should bring into the next podcast to improve?
Jesus, that's a very good question. It's like leaving a question here for the next person kind of us. No, just keep doing what you're doing, lads. He's about young. He's about still in school.
I dropped out.
Did you?
I'm still in school.
You're still in school. He's about school age.
Yeah. I said to leave him this year.
Yeah. So just keep doing what he's doing, because what you're doing is that you're showing another avenue for people to get down. That's another thing that we try and show people, that you don't just have to be pigeonholed into these. Like, there's only a certain amount of jobs that you can do. There's an endless amount of jobs. There's not a career or profession in this country that we shouldn't be able to do and show people. Something that people always say about us is like that we're the media, and I don't like that, but technically we are. This is where people are getting their information. How many podcasts or clips have you seen online of someone talking about something? And it could be anything. I mean anything. It might be fucking a new exercise, a new diet, and you'd be like, oh, did you know if you do this, blah 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 blah, and be like, how did you know that? Heard that on the podcast.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So people are tuning into these for their information to learn stuff. So now people are looking at you and being like, Jesus, that's something that I might get into. And it doesn't have to be podcasting, it can be absolutely anything. But you're showing people that Jesus, they can do it. So I might try my hand at this other thing now that no one has done before. Yeah. Because them lads have inspired me to do it, you know what I mean? So like, it's that whole thing of you can't see, you can't be. Like, who would have thought that podcast was going to be a thing for people like us, young bloods like us? Who would have thought that? Probably not many. Yeah. But now here we are, you know what I mean? And people are comfortable doing it. Like, look at the guests you've had on, look at the guests that you're planning to have on. Yeah. Long may it continue.
Even there's actually a quote for that. Glenn always says to me, the pigeon box quote there, the thing you were talking about there, people trapped down abuse. Limitation is a creation of the mind. So whatever you limit in your own mind is going to happen. Yeah,
it's the whole thing of like, oh, I can't do that. Why can't you do it? You just told yourself you can't do it. Like, why can't you do something?
I say that to anybody I'm around, like, whether it's work, whether it's school, whether I'm just talking to them on the street. If I hear anybody like sort of twitching at themselves saying, oh, moaning about the weather, or they're moaning about something, or they're saying they can't do something for some sort of reason, I say to them, just hang on for a second, because your mind is the most powerful weapon you have in your body. Whatever you tell your mind, you'll actually start to believe. And whatever you start to believe, that's when you'll start to see more opportunities down that avenue. That's when you'll start to have more things pop up or something. Like, it's honestly just a belief in yourself that will get you as far as you need to go.
100%. We're from working class areas. Yeah, we've always been told we're nothing, and we've always been told we'd never achieve anything. Yeah. And if you listen to it long enough, you'll start to believe it. So we're fucking getting bet up by the system, we're getting bet up by the establishment for years on end. Why do we need to keep beating ourselves up then? Do you know what I mean? We need to be supporting each other. We need to be shouting from the rooftops. It's kind of gone back to that chip on my shoulder. You know what I mean? I'm showing people like, no, hang on, it's not all doom and gloom. And so are yours. So we're doing it from the inside out now. We need to be showing our friends, our family, showing our neighbours, like, no, you can go and do all this stuff just as good as anybody else, if not better. Yeah. What's stopping you? You are. One thing I always say to be, educate yourself. Whether it be listening to a podcast, whether it be going back to school, apply for a course. There's some knowledge is limitless out there, and it's all at your fingertips as well. Go on and fucking apply yourself. There's no reason for you to sit around and not be educated on the topic. Educate yourself. If there's something that's going on in the world and you're not too, but you see it everywhere and you're not too familiar with it, go and become familiar with it. Yeah. But again, I'll go back to the thing is, be prepared to have your mind changed. Yeah. Don't have a hill that you're going to die on every single topic, because You're not an expert in every single topic, no matter what people will tell you. Educate yourself, because we have the drive, yeah. We have the capabilities, we have the limitations, we know what they are, they're endless. Just fucking go and get it now. It's like, how many people, like, we fucking sold out the Bord Gosh this year. Where, like, why, how, I don't know, but we did it. We aimed for it. We thought we'd never get there. We got there. There's people that have come on our podcast, the best-selling authors, sold out arenas themselves. They're in fucking films. They're getting acting roles that they thought they'd never get. I can't even think off the top of my head, but like, there's people, like, I remember we had Shauna Bannon on, and she was like, I'll be in the UFC one day. What was stopping her? Nothing was stopping her. Where is she now?
In the UFC, yeah.
You know what I mean? There's stuff like that, but like, why, like, how did a single mother from Tala end up in the UFC? Put that on paper, you'd be like, not a chance.
Yeah.
What stopped her? Nothing stopped her.
I only finished the David Goggins book, and there was a quote in it, and it said the only thing that separates everybody in this world is their mindset.
It is that,
Yeah.
but again, there's so much to be unearthed in working class communities. There's so many diamonds in the rough that you're holding yourself back. And as I said, you don't need to beat each other up, because we're constantly getting built up by the system. So let's punch it up here, and let's be like, no, we're coming in here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can't even say the word bollocks on the radio, but a lot of people out there in the media know who we are.
Yeah.
So how does that make sense? You know what I mean? It's still getting bleeped on the radio. So we're not. We've had enough of fucking people closing doors in our face. We're kicking down doors now. You know what I mean? No matter what it is that you want to do, I see people with fashion brands in our areas. Who the fuck thought 10, 15 years ago there'd be fashion designers coming from our areas?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Look at Robbie G and Bissett. Them boys are bleeding, selling out the Trey Arena now.
Yeah.
Annually now. They're playing in the Aviva tonight for the women's team.
Yeah.
You've people going on to play for Ireland, men and women. You've people going on to represent Ireland in a range of sports.
Yeah.
Not just football, boxing, or any sort of fighting. No, people are going on in athletics to represent Ireland. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you hear of somebody trying something new from your area, don't be like, what the fuck are you doing, mate? Because we've had enough of that for years.
Yeah.
Like, and I got a load of times.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? What the fuck are you doing a podcast, mate? And you hear people, like, some people are still a bit wordy about, like, what the fuck is that? But all we're doing is just showing people. Now, I'm not just meaning like, I do a podcast, everyone go do a podcast. I mean anything that you're trying to do. Anything. You're trying to start a business. No matter how big or how small your goal is, go and fucking get after it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you're going to sit down and be like, right, did I give it my all? No. That's how you're going to beat yourself up with. You and yourself have to sit there and be like, I could have done more. No.
Yeah.
I wish that person would have helped me, or I wish I would have got a bleeding interview there, or I could have fucking asked that person to throw me a dig out there. No. I didn't do enough. Because once you sit down and be like, I couldn't have done any more, that's it then. Once you can't do any more, that's, what more can you give? If you give 100%, there's nothing more than you're leaving out there, and that's it.
And I always say to Ben, like, even ourselves, like, we've proven to ourselves that it's possible. Like, even, where was it we were? Longitude we were at. Only time I've ever went Longitude, I've never went back.
Actually, yeah.
And we were just sitting there,
We're in the
big
crowd.
field of people.
Yeah.
I think you said it, was it?
I turned to Glenn. Robbie was up on the stage. This is the early days of podcast, so we told the story a few times, but you're gonna hear it again now. I turned to Glenn. I said, Robbie's up there. That's late. And he's only from our area. I said, we're gonna get him on the podcast one of these days. Some young fella, hadn't a clue who he was. Never spoke to him. Never even looked at him. Turned around, looked at me up and down, and laughed. I'm like, say you want this problem? Like, he's laughing at me. He's like, no way. And I'm like, right, kill whatever. Like, and so like, a month later, 2 months later, we got Robbie on then.
Yeah.
And like, it's even nice though, us going and pursuing our dreams, or us going and pursuing these goals that are setting ourselves. It's showing other people all around us that if we can go and put ourselves out there like this, why can't you go and bake that cake, or why can't you go and do that marathon, or do this or that? And that's one of the best things about this podcast for me. Like, anybody around me now who I speak to, if I find out they have a little twinge in their mind saying, I want to do this, but I'm afraid what this person say, I just tell them, go for it. I'm actually at that, trying to line some fella up now. He's a friend of mine, funny bloke, and he wants to do stand-up comedy, but he's terrified of doing it and he doesn't know where to start. So obviously through the podcast I know a few comedians, so I'm in the middle of reaching out to a few people now to try and get him set up. I told him, just write your 5 minutes and go out and do it.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, the networking now, like, there's people you know that you didn't know last year, and there's people that you thought you'd never know. Do you know what I mean? Like, I remember my very first one of them moments was I was driving home in Ardlow Hanlon. Dougal from Father Ted, he was texting me, and I remember being like, and me miss was driving, and I was like, Dougal from Father Ted listens to our podcast. Isn't that mad when you think about it?
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, that is mad. And I'm like, I have his number to save as Ardle in my phone. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm like, this is mental. But the networking side of it is like, we've had people on the podcast be like, do you know who'd be good guest? This person or that person, or someone might reach out to you and be like, I'm looking to do this, do you know anyone? And you'd be like, yeah, you should get on to them and blah blah blah. And I've even seen people, I've been in circles with people and be like, we've actually never met. And I was like, how have you two, the two former guests of the podcast, how have you two never met? Like the circles that you are moving into, like we've never met. And I'm like, you are coming together now over like something that we're doing. So you're me, yeah. He might be the funniest fella ever, and you'll never know.
Exactly.
Why?
Yeah.
Because he's probably told like, what the no one does comedy. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Get a job, you dope. You know what I mean? Whereas he might be the funniest fella that's ever come out of Ireland, and you'll never know.
We gave him a little speech actually saying that I was like to him, the world isn't gonna have the next Jimmy Carrs, the next Kevin Harts, the next Ronaldos, the next, I don't know, could be anybody who's at the pinnacle of that sport, because too many people nowadays are afraid to even chase their dreams because of what other people are saying, and that's a horrible reality.
And what does it cost?
Yeah.
What's it gonna cost him to write 5 minutes of comedy and give it a bash?
Yeah.
What's it gonna cost? Is it irreversible if he goes and does that?
That's right. I think there's a quote for that. It's like nothing ventured, nothing gained. I think I could be butchering that, but like it is a fact. Like
it's like these are all two-way doors. Do you know what I mean? Like he goes in, tries it. Do you know what? I actually didn't like that. You can always come back, pal.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not like, well, you better do that for the rest of your life now.
Yeah.
You're committed to that. You can always come back from it.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? These are all two-way door decisions. Don't be afraid of it. But the one thing is, you never actually step through that door, so you'll never know.
Yeah.
Or I could have been good at comedy. Yeah, I could have been good at comedy.
Yeah.
Yous could have been good at comedy. Did you ever try it? No. So what use is that? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like I've known a load of people, and it's like, I done that, or I would have been better at that. You would have, could have, maybe, yeah, should have, but you didn't. Go and fucking try it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's things I've done in life and I failed at, and I'm like, right, I know that's not for me, or that didn't work out, or I do this thing better, but I know. I'm not sitting at home thinking, Jesus, imagine I tried that. I tried it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And what does it cost? What does it cost? Like, I'm not setting up a business, I'm not fucking remortgaging my house and committing to this business. I'm like, right, hang on for a minute now and let's make sure everything's okay before we commit to this. Something simple as stepping out on a stage. And what? At least you have the balls to do it. There's not 1,000 comedians lined up there behind them. You know what I mean? So not everyone has the balls to do it. But again, as I said, we're giving people an option to do this stuff because it should be an option. They shouldn't be cut off. No matter what, and I'm talking everything, whether it be a comedian, whether it be fucking the next Taoiseach of Ireland. These all should be options for people like us.
Yeah.
And whether it be through networking or through inspiration, we should be getting people in here to do that. One thing I would say is when your mate does go out there on the stage and does get it done, I'm sure he will do it. Get him in here then. Because what you are doing is you have a platform and an audience. So all you're doing is sending the lift back down by having him on the podcast then. You're exposing him to people that wouldn't have a clue who he is. Or maybe not get a chance to see him if he is doing comedy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So don't be afraid to have local people on just because they haven't got a big name. They might have a great story, and what you're doing is you're giving them the audition. You know what I mean? Like, we've had people thanking us, oh, thanks for having me on, I got this opportunity. I'm like, we didn't give you the opportunity. We had you on the podcast. You done the rest. You done the heavy lifting there. You showcased who you were.
Yeah.
Yeah, all we done was put the mic on for you. You know what I mean? So you can take it or leave it. When that mic is on, what do you say to people? What are you portraying? What are you showing? This is who I am. And then people will gravitate towards it.
People can relate then.
Yeah, and that's it. And people are like, do you know what? He was hilarious. Or, do you know what? I really liked her story. I'm going to go see her. Or I'm going to go buy his book. I'm going to watch that thing that he's in. I'm going to buy his product. Or the next time he does whatever he's trying to do, I'm going to be there to support that because I liked this thing about him. And that's all. That's what you give people, that opportunity there. You know what I mean? So you're kind of giving back then to me. You're giving him, you're giving him the advice, and yet he might run with it and become a great comedian. But also give him a chance on the podcast to showcase his skills. Yeah. And I'm sure you're probably one of the people who he's most comfortable with. You know what I mean? You're as me. He might have a laugh with you that you can't put out on the stage.
Yeah.
So people are like, Jesus, this fella is hilarious. I can't wait to go and see him.
Deadly. Thanks a lot, Colin.
No problem, lads.
It's been a full
Thanks.
circle moment for us.
I know, and I apologise over how long it's taken to get done. I know I kept putting her off. I wasn't putting her off on purpose. I wasn't like, I'm not feeling it this week, lads. Next week, genuinely, I'm flat out. I just had a bit of time this week with the way things lined up, and yeah,
Got it done.
yeah. I was a bit worried when I didn't hear from you today. I was like, this better still bleeding.
Yeah.
I'm bleeding now here.
Right.
But thanks for having me on, lads. I really appreciate it, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Episode 57 wrapped up.